Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
As the hour is 6:13, I will call the Town of Exeter Select Board meeting of March 3rd, 2025 to order. First order of business this evening is hopefully to go into non-public for about 15 minutes. We do have 3 board interviews we'll be conducting downstairs in the wheelwright room immediately thereafter. And then we'll return to the Novak room at 7 for a regular business meeting. So I would entertain a motion to go into non-public under 91A32L.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand.
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
Clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The board will be moving into non-public. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
welcome back. Good evening, Exeter. Good evening to my colleagues on the board, those in attendance, respective town staff, those watching at home, and welcome to the March 3rd, 2025 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. I'd like to start this evening by introducing the board. We'll start with Vice Chair Selectwoman Molly Cowan, who is with us via Zoom this evening. Good evening, Selectwoman Cowan.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not there in person with you, but will keep the germs to myself.
Appreciate that. And if you could just let us know whether you're alone in the room or not.
I am alone in the room.
All right. Thank you very much. To my right, Selectman Dan Chartrand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, and I hope you feel better soon, Molly.
To my left, our clerk, Selectwoman Julie Gilman.
Good evening. Hello, Molly. And pardon me for wearing my coat, but I'm cold.
Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone, and feel better, Molly.
And we have our town manager, Mr. Rustine. Good evening.
Good evening.
Our recording secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening. And my name is Nico Papakosendis. And Molly, I really hope you're feeling better soon, and I miss you being here. So, next order of business on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for anybody in the public to come forward with any comment to the board. And I will pause for a moment to see if there's anybody online. There's not. And no public comments, so we'll move on. Next order of business is to approve the regular meeting minutes from February 18th, 2025. I would first ask the board if there are any amendments or revisions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have two.
Okay.
Page 3, second paragraph. It starts with Ms. Belanger said it was during the PEA principle. It would be the last sentence in that paragraph. It says we used to put on plays as a town. I think it was that I was hoping that we could have public plays as a town. I mean, I know we used to put on plays as a town, but I don't know if the PEA was involved in it, with it. They do a lot of plays, so I was
Okay.
asking if maybe we could, he could offer some public plays that the Academy puts on. And then on page 6, under the Select Board Committee reports, about halfway down, it says there was a planning board meeting February 13th in Riverwoods was approved, but one of the condition of approval, it wasn't a condition of approval because it can't be. It's only the Select Board can make those decisions about signs and speed bumps and things. So it was that they're interested, the board was interested in looking at the possibility of no parking signs and to bring it to the board and see what they might want to do with that.
Okay. All right.
So that's it.
Did you get those, Joanna? All right. Any other revisions or amendments? Okay, then seeing none and voting this evening, while Selectwoman Cowan is with us, will be done via roll call, Madam Clerk. I would entertain a motion to approve the Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of February 18th, 2025 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Selectman Chartrand.
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan.
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
The clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We interviewed 3 volunteers this evening. We're going to appoint 2 of them this evening and hopefully take up the other appointment on March 17th. So I would entertain a motion to appoint David Kovar as an alternate to the Communications Committee with a term to expire April 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand.
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan.
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
And clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And I would entertain a motion to appoint Verity Elise Boyer to a regular position on the Historic District Commission with a term to expire April 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand.
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan.
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
Clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And at our last meeting, we interviewed Karen Pryor for the 250th Celebration Commission, and in my trying to juggle two board members on Zoom, I completely skipped over that, and I spoke with Karen yesterday and offered my apologies, and she was very understanding, and she'll be ready for the meeting tomorrow, Selectwoman Gilman. So I would entertain a motion to appoint Karen Pryor to the 250th Celebration Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartran?
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan?
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger?
Aye.
The clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And we would like to thank David Verity and Karen for their volunteering for the respective committees and commissions. And unfortunately, we have to accept a resignation this evening from Mary Page Provost from the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission due to time conflicts and scheduling conflicts. So with regret, I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation from Mary Page Provost from the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission.
So moved with thanks for her service.
Second. Also.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, I'm sorry.
Selectman Chartran?
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan?
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger?
Aye.
And the clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0, and we want to thank Mary Page. She was one of the first that we appointed to that commission, so very much appreciate her work. Stepping into discussion items, we have our Public Works Director, Steve Cronin, with us this evening to talk about the Surface Water Treatment Plan preliminary design contract. Good evening, Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you tonight is a request to approve a contract with AECom in the amount of $325,000 for professional engineering services for preliminary design of the surface water treatment plant. As you're aware, the existing surface water treatment plant dates back to the late 1800s. It's located on Portsmouth Ave. It's undergone several upgrades, with the most recent being in 2019 to meet regulations for disinfection byproducts. Through nothing short of sheer determination, our staff is able to keep this plant moving along and operational, but it's well past its intended design life, and we really should be looking at replacement. The voters approved an authorization rather, of $500,000 in 2004 to begin the process of design for replacement. In September of 2024, we issued an RFQ to solicit firms to provide proposals for design services. We held a pre-proposal meeting on September 26th. We had 5 firms that met the requirements of the RFP and were interested in submitting proposals, but ultimately only received one proposal by the October 17th deadline. We put together a review committee comprised of myself, Paul Vlasich, town engineer, Steve Dalton, our water sewer superintendent, and Corey Stevens, the finance director. We reviewed the proposal to make sure that it met all the minimum requirements, which it did. At that point, we decided to move to an in-person interview to further evaluate AECom's ability to meet our timeline and the requirements of the project. We felt very strongly coming out of that interview that they were the right firm for us moving forward. And at that point, we worked with them on the proposal that you have in front of you for $325,000. We've decided at this point to only move forward with the first 2 phases of the proposal. The reason being is we want to get a better understanding of the yield of the surface water supplies and how potential in-stream flow rules could affect the sizing of the plant. And once we've determined that, we'd move into the later phases of design. Included in this is a pilot study that'll be conducted over 2 different seasons, try to evaluate what treatment technologies would be best for Exeter's water quality.
Terrific, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cronin?
I don't have any. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. My
Okay.
apologies.
All right, if there are no questions, Selectwoman Cowan? I don't see her.
None from me. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, I do.
Oh, Mr. Chartrand, please.
So there was only one, one firm that offered their qualifications. Is that just like more of the same that we've been seeing? Everyone's maxed out with all the money that's flowing into public works?
A little bit. I think surface water treatment plant design is pretty specialized. We required a firm that had designed a plant, had designed several plants over the past decade within the capacity that we're looking for. So that makes the bucket pretty small to begin with. But once you throw in all the infrastructure money that's out there and how much work firms have, there wasn't a lot of capacity, I think, for them to take on a project like this. It's going to last several years.
So we got one,
We got one.
and that's all it takes.
That's all.
Thank you, Director.
We sort of got 1.5, and because Underwood Engineers took an RFP, but now they're going to work for AECom.
Yes, so they are partnering on the project. They'll be a sub-consultant for AECom. There was some discussions between other firms that had attended about potentially partnering up, but that never came to fruition. So,
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve a contract with AECom in the amount of $325,000 for professional engineering services for preliminary design of the surface water treatment plant, and to further authorize the town manager or their designee to sign the contract documents.
So moved.
Second,
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartran,
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan,
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
And clerk says aye. Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Cronin.
thank you very much.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Mr. Cronin, thank you to DPW for all of the work with the snow removal.
Thank you.
The 2 late nights. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, we have our Finance Director this evening, Corey Stevens, to talk about a proposed donation policy. Good evening, Mr. Stevens.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for having me in. So, a couple of months back, I was invited to meet with the Pearpoint Park Committee and talk about their efforts to fundraise potentially through donations for that park effort, which got us thinking about what our donation policy is and or isn't, and realizing that we don't have anything formal on paper. So I put together a proposed policy, work with town administration to vet it, and that's what you have before you this evening. It doesn't necessarily do a lot more than we're already doing. It just puts some guardrails and definition on how we're doing it and formalizes it a little bit. So that's really the long and short of it. Essentially, the process is a town department head receives a donation proposal. It gets vetted by the department head, and depending on the size of it, may involve the town manager as well. That their recommendation then gets forwarded to the board, who has the authority, the sole authority to approve or deny a donation. And then from there, if it's approved, working with the department head to acknowledge the donation, and then work with the donor if there are designations for that donation that they want to see done.
And then what role, Mr. Stevens, if any, would the trustees of the trust fund play?
Sure. So that is a bit of a change from what we've done in the past. Depending on whether it is designated or not, if it's designated, it would go to the trustees to be, and they would be the stewards of it until such time as either the town or the committee or the select board wants to use the funds.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
No, this came up at the last Arts and Culture Committee that I missed, but by their meeting minutes, and I did watch the meeting. They're interested in raising some funds, so I was going to send them to you, because making sure that, everything was being done in a proper way, but having it in writing, I think, is really going to help all of our boards and committees who want to actively raise funds, so that they have a checklist. So thank you
Sure.
for doing this. Much appreciated.
Well, I definitely applaud Mr. Stevens, you doing this, because I actually took the liberty of inviting him to one of the Pearpoint Park meetings, because they were talking about possibly fundraising and accepting donations, and there were all kinds of different thoughts going around. And, you know, I think it was incredibly helpful to them. I know it was incredibly helpful for them, for you to explain the process. And then we actually sat down with, you know, one of the members of the fundraising subcommittee, and so that was helpful. And I think putting it into a written policy and procedure between arts and culture, rec advisory,
Yeah, because rec log.
Pearpoint Park, I mean, I think
Yeah.
we're going to start to see
Perfect.
more of these. So to have something memorialized in writing.
Yeah, I think there were more questions than answers when we had that meeting, and it spawned, you know, doing this, and we learned that we didn't need to set up funds specific to, and so it'll help define and help those committees and groups that want to donate in the future, you know, have a roadmap for doing so.
Selectwoman Gilman?
No, I think you have covered my question.
Okay.
Conservation
Stricker?
Commission too likes to raise funds.
I'm on the 250th commission, so.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank you for your work on this.
Oh, sure.
Great work. That's it.
Yep. You're welcome.
Does this also apply to the Swayze Park, anything donated to the trustees, or would that?
I might look to Mr. Dean for a little help on that. I'm not quite sure.
Swayze Parkway trustees' donations
Yeah.
would go to, it depends what form they were in. If they were cash, they would probably go to the trustees' account.
Okay,
That's what I would imagine, which is held by the trustees of trust funds.
right, okay.
Property or other things may take a different route.
Okay. Because I would think that funnels through your office at some point, right?
True, yes.
Okay. Just interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And the policy number here, is that the policy number that will be assigned to this?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the proposed donation and gift policy, policy number 2025-01, to be effective March 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartran,
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan,
Aye.
Selectwoman Blanchard.
Aye.
The clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Good work. Okay, last discussion item this evening, Mr. Dean, we're taking another crack at the TIF Advisory Board,
Yes.
so I'll turn it over to you, please.
Sure. So we made a couple of changes based upon the board's last discussion of the TIF Advisory Board charge, and it's been updated to reflect those changes. Number 4, under the resolution, the wording, the district administrator, town manager shall provide quarterly financial reports on the Epping Road TIF to the governing body has been added as a change. And then below, under the 5-member TIF Advisory Board, there's a notation that says the Public Works Director and Town Planner may attend meetings as needed to advise the TIF Advisory Board and District Administrator regarding issues within the Epping Road TIF. I know there was one other issue brought up about the conflict provision, which I talked about at the last meeting as being in the statute. It's actually in 162K, but it also does say, as part of that clause, this is number 3, that whenever they're in conflict, the advisory board and the district administrator are in conflict, or have activity related to the Epping Road TIF development and financing plan, the proposal shall be presented to the select board for prior approval. So from my perspective, that would mean that any proposal that involves a district financing plan and development program would come before the board.
Okay.
So what wouldn't be included in that? Because you've made this carve out for if you're not in conflict, it doesn't have to come to the board. So can I have some examples of what wouldn't need to come to the board?
I think everything that impacts the plan would need to come to the board.
But this needs to be in there because it's in the RSA.
The conflict provision, yes.
Yeah. I'm mulling for a minute here. Allow me.
While you're mulling, can I
Please.
just add on to, because I really appreciated Selectman Chartrand's point on this at our last meeting, and for me, I don't think it's clear that the select board would weigh in on all the decisions. This only says conflicts. So I understand RSA, that has to be in there, but can additional language be put in? And I would also like us to consider, once we think we're at a final draft, that we make sure town council reviews this before we vote on it. Because this is RSA, and I just want to make sure all our i's are dotted and t's are crossed.
Yeah, do you have suggestions for me as far as how you would change the language?
Are you talking to me?
It could be for either you or Selectman Chartrand.
I,
Or we could talk offline about it. It's
No,
up to you.
here.
No, I don't need to talk offline. I just don't know enough to know whether this will work or not. So I like Selectwoman Belanger's suggestion that we have legal.
Council review it.
Yeah,
And they
I'd
can
feel
suggest
comfortable with
language.
that as well.
Okay.
yeah, that makes sense. It's a great suggestion, Nancy, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think the way it's currently worded will work and meet my concerns, but yeah, let's have them look at it.
I like that idea.
And if I could just make one more suggestion, this is a general one, but when we're going back and forth with drafts, this is what, our second or third?
Third.
It would be really helpful to have the new or modified language highlighted.
Okay.
So like a red line.
Yeah.
Yeah, something, because I'm going through 3
Right.
packets and trying to compare language, and, yeah, it would just
That would be helpful.
It would be very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
You good with that?
I am.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience,
You're welcome.
Russ. I appreciate it.
If the board will indulge me, and Selectwoman Cowan, before you have to depart, if we could skip over the tax abatements and credits and exemptions, being cognizant of our staff's time. Kristen, would you like to come forward and make your presentation? Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Select Board. Kristen Murphy, Conservation and Sustainability Planner. And if you'll allow me, I'd like to also invite
Of course.
Deo from Southeast Lantros. Sorry, Caitlin. That's okay.
Good evening, welcome.
She has been the project lead as of late for this project. I'm really excited to bring this to the board. It's always fun to see something come across the finish line. This project was last before the Select Board in 2023. And it involves a property off of Powder Mill Road. If you drive along Powder Mill Road, you'll see a sign that says Rolling Ridge Farm or Rolling.
It's like,
It used to be
he's got
something
a
along
helicopter
those
with a
lines
horse
there.
in it.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful and scenic property. Beyond what you see from the road is a pretty dramatic water course, supportive wetlands and supportive woodland. And so for a variety of reasons, this property has kind of raised to the top of priority properties for the town of Exeter in the Conservation Commission's Natural Resource Inventory, but also in terms of New Hampshire Fish and Game. It contains highest ranked habitat of both the state and the biological region, which is substantial. There's priority agricultural lands here. And this project is a tri-town project, so it includes land in 3 communities. So what's before you tonight for signature is a document that has met the needs of grantors, and we can talk about maybe the funding sources in a minute, but it met the needs of the grantors, the individual towns. Each conservation commission has reviewed it. Our legal counsel has reviewed it. And so it's before you tonight in what I guess just to kind of clarify, because it has been a while since this has been before the board, the land interest that is being presented is a conservation easement that would be held by SELT. So the responsibility for monitoring, the benefits for the town anyway, the responsibility for monitoring, kind of that first line of landowner communication, really the brunt of the effort associated with protecting this land will be the responsibility of Southeast Land Trust. But for the town of Exeter, we would retain executory interest over the portion of land held in our town. The whole project is 156 acres. In the town, it's about 21-ish acres in the town of Exeter. And I did bring some maps because I realized I didn't put them in.
Julie was
I'll pass
looking
them
for a
out.
map.
Sorry.
Thank you. It's okay. Do you want one?
No, I'm good.
Nico?
Thank you.
So
There you go. I'll
this
share mine with Julie.
project, this property might also be familiar to you because there was a gravel extraction effort on this land. And the property owner, following gravel extraction, the goal of his was to establish an agricultural field. So loam has been brought in. I have, maybe you could give a current status on that in a minute. So it's really making its way toward becoming this open agricultural field. So
Yeah,
what did I miss?
You covered it really well. Yeah, I was just before, I'm coming right from Kensington. Kensington signed it, I'm pleased to say. And then earlier today, the town administrator signed it for East Kingston as well. So you're our last town of the three. We have another interest in the deed as well. That's the Drinking Water Groundwater Trust Fund through their Department of Environmental Services. We'll also be taking a legal interest in the property through a third-party right of enforcement. And they funded this. They gave $500,000, which is the most they can give to the property because they really recognize the importance of the drinking water aspects of this property.
Terrific.
Can I add one more thing?
Of
to
course.
that? I will say, some of the terms in this deed are pretty unusual. There is, and I think it's the result of us learning over past practices in terms of drinking water extraction. And so I did have Department of Public Works, both Steve Cronin and Steve Dalton, review the language, and they
Perfect.
were supportive of that
Your request.
as well. Thank you. Yeah.
Great, thank you for doing that. Did you want to take a minute to look at the map?
I'm rather familiar with the area.
We both lived in that area. Julie longer than me.
Any
I'm fine
questions or
with it.
comments?
I was part of the discussion when they were first doing this project, so congratulations, perseverance. Yes.
So you're looking for our signatures this evening, that's what, okay. Then, go.
While I was out, did anyone talk about the trails and whether or not there will be maintained public trails?
So there's not a proposal to maintain public access to this property. The intent of the current property owner is that it would be privately owned property. Unless something
Good
has
question,
changed
too.
since I.
The right to post the property will remain with the landowner. So, yeah.
This part of it, the Exeter part, the deed where's, but part of the whole project, the other two towns, they do have trails, right? Or
So he does have trails in the property, but they're his,
Oh, I
he
thought
maintained them in there.
And all three towns.
Yeah, so I think it's
Oh, gotcha.
Kensington has an abutting property, a town forest that abuts it with trails. But yeah, this one doesn't have public access rights.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to authorize the Select Board to sign the final conservation deed for the Ryder property on Powder Mill Road, tax map 113, lots 3 and 5.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartran,
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan,
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
Clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you both for coming this evening.
Great, thanks.
Terrific,
Thank
this is
you.
great.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Is your preference to leave the signature page, or? I'll have to get Dave Schwartz, so if you want to do it.
Yeah, you can leave the signature page, sure.
Please come back.
Thank you. Okay. Selectwoman Cowan, thank you very much for joining us for the discussion part, and I hope you're feeling better soon.
Thank you. Talk to you in a bit.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Are you up for doing the exemptions and credits, or do you want to?
Yeah, I just had a
Okay.
piece of dust go down my throat or something.
If that's the next thing we're going to do, can I just make a point?
Please.
Please, Joanna, our secretary, she's so good. She noticed that there was some oddities in our list. So if somebody wants to double check me, because I was trying to multitask, the two that I think corrected ones are on the top, and I hand wrote the corrections. Are you okay with doing that, or I don't know if that part has to be done tonight, or if it can wait, because
Yeah.
I tried to make sure, and I'm pretty confident I have it right, but I would like another set of eyes to confirm.
That's fair.
Okay, so skip the disability exemptions this time?
That's
For
everyone.
Hilton Avenue.
There are two.
Yeah, let's just do all three so I don't get confused either.
Okay, whatever. Thank you for catching that, Joanna. That was awesome.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to approve an elderly exemption for MAP 72, Lot 91, in the amount of $152,251 for the tax year 2025.
Second. Sorry, you moved it. I second.
Yeah, this is a denial, so we're not approving.
No, she read the right one, but it's the second one, but you have to go back to the first.
Yeah,
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
I'll withdraw my second.
I move to deny an elderly exemption for MAP 72, Lot 91, for the tax year 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Before you proceed, I think you can lump. You might be able to lump the second one
And the fourth one,
and the fourth and the third and the fifth, if that helps.
if the rest of the board is in consensus.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to approve elderly exemptions for MAP, wait a minute, 103, Lot 13, Unit 2, and MAP 95, Lot 64, Unit 281, in the amount of $183,751 for the tax year 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0, and then we'll have to go back to
Yep.
104, 7322, and 95, 64, 342.
Yep. I move to approve an elderly exemption for MAP 104, Lot 70, Unit 322, and MAP 95, Lot 64, Unit 342, the amount of $52,251 for tax year 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
And I'm going to pull all these three together as they're the same amount.
Are we skipping those, though?
The disability, it's one.
Oh, yes, sorry.
All together.
Yep.
Okay.
sorry. I'm looking at in front of me.
I think you can lump the veterans.
Yep. I move to approve veteran credits for the following properties: MAP 72, Lot 91, and MAP 68, Lot 6, Unit 344, the amount of $500 for the tax year 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
And I move to approve a tax abatement for MAP 72, Lot 58, in the amount of $405.61 for the tax year 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
I move to approve a tax abatement for MAP 63, Lot 4, Unit 2, in the amount of $2,067.20 for the tax year 2024.
So you said
Second.
lot
Yeah.
4, but it's actually
It's 41.
lot 41.
That's, it was 4.5.
Oh, should be.
So 63, lot 41, unit 2,
Yep.
in the amount of $2,067.20
For 2020.
for tax year 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
And I move to approve a solar exemption for map 24, lot 2, the amount of $14,000 for the tax year 2025.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Madam Clerk. You're still on for the Citizens Award?
Yes.
Letters of support?
I'm just trying to scroll down so I get the titles correct. What's the first one?
I gotta get there.
I'll get there before you, probably.
Pam,
Okay.
this one?
Yeah, let me tell you folks a little bit about this. Every year, the New Hampshire State Commission on Aging has an award for a 2025 older adult volunteer, and it's by county, actually. There's one in each county. So I have to say our Heritage Commission, very appreciative of Pam's support or volunteering, and our chair recommended that we send in this application. Pam has volunteered for 47 years in various different things while being the director of the library and after her retirement. So we thought it was time to recognize her by the state.
Okay.
And this would require you just to sign next to your name.
Okay. All right. Do we need a motion on that, or?
I think I would, just because we
Okay.
moved to forward the application. So I moved to forward the application for the New Hampshire
You state-
Commission on Aging 2025 Older Adult Volunteer Award in the name of Pam Jetto.
Okay. It's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
And the next one is just a letter of recommendation. It's not our application. And it is for John Merkel of the Heritage Commission and the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance's Preservation Award, Annual Preservation Award. John was the mover and shaker to get the Heritage Commission established and has sat on the Heritage Commission since then, 2005, along with his background history as an architect and working on preservation projects throughout his career. He's brought his expertise to the commission and taught us and led us through several different projects, including grants that we've received and demolition reviews we've had to do, and the area surveys, which later I can report on one of them. But this is just a letter of support for his application from the Heritage Commission is applying, and we're just offering a letter of support.
Okay. Fantastic. Any questions or comments? Then I'd entertain a motion to authorize the Select Board to sign a letter of support for the nomination of John Merkel for the NHPA's 2025 Annual Preservation Achievement Awards.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
I'd really like to thank Francoise Elise, the chair of the Heritage Commission, for bringing these two opportunities to our attention.
Appreciate that and appreciate the work these folks have done.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. Okay, moving on to Mr. Dean and the Town Manager's Report, please.
Okay, I was away on vacation from February 19th to the 25th, so I did get back to the office last Wednesday. After that, we went to Riverwoods on February 27th. A group of us went and presented for warrant night. It was very successful and was a good night. We got some very good questions from the audience, and just wanted to thank everyone at Riverwoods who organizes that, because it was a well put together seminar, a well put together event, and it was very good to be there and get the word out about the town election and the warrant articles. The bike and pedestrian plan has been finalized, and that should go to presentation to the board on post March 31st, so sometime in April you'll be seeing a presentation on that. I know that's been something people have been anxiously waiting for, so you can expect to see that soon. Andy Swanson, our IT coordinator, is having a retirement party this Friday from 12 to 2 at the town hall, so we hope to see everybody there. And this is an opportunity to send Andy off and thank him for his years of service with the town. He's been a great asset to us, and obviously we're going to miss him a lot. So
Where is that going to be? At the town
at the
hall?
town hall, Friday from 12 to 2.
Didn't Andy start as a part-time, like, IT person?
Andy was worked for us as a consultant,
Yeah.
basically, until the town established an IT coordinator position, and then he was
Here from the beginning.
he
of
was the first one.
internet and,
He modernized us.
He
did.
did.
He sure did. So
And that's 12 noon, Russ?
12 noon on Friday.
Thank you.
We're having a meeting tomorrow regarding financing for the police station and fire substation project, so we'll be able to update the board on that soon. That is with the executive team, with Corey and Melissa and myself. And then I wanted to bring the board's attention to a bill that's being discussed tomorrow in the Senate Finance Committee on risk pools. Basically, that the gist of the bill, it's a somewhat complicated bill, but one of the key elements to it is that it proposes that any reserve deficiencies in a risk pool be made up by assessments, additional assessments to communities. And that is definitely a problem for a lot of cities and towns, including ourselves, as it would impact Primex and it would impact health trusts. So that's being heard in Senate Finance tomorrow, and the bill's gotten a lot of attention. It's a very late filing.
Yep.
The bill came forward late in the filing session, so
And that's tomorrow?
yeah, tomorrow at 1 o'clock in Senate Finance, and I'll certainly keep the board updated on
Yeah.
what the outcome of the meeting is.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll keep our eye on that for sure, more than our eye. The grants, on the grants list, the Kingston Road project, $425,000 did come in on that to offset the cost of the project, so that's good news. That happened last week, so there's no further information to report on grants from the grant list, but that is one that did materialize.
And that was a state grant or a federal grant?
That was a state grant that came through the federal government initially, so. And then the only other notation I had was just the town election coming up March 11th, and to encourage people to come out and vote on next Tuesday.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay. Select Board Committee reports. Selectwoman Belanger, please.
Okay, so I'm going to, my Arts and Culture and Rec Advisory Board meetings last week, Tuesday and Wednesday, were canceled because of a lack of quorum, school vacation week. However, I didn't bring up one thing from my previous report. That committee voted to make Kelsey Denville a full member. She's still listed as an alternate, but I haven't seen anything to the board itself to do that. What's the process for that? Does a committee make a recommendation and send it to you
Yeah.
as the town manager for the board to?
The board has to make, if someone's an alternate member sitting in an alternate spot, the board has to appoint the person to a full member position.
Does the chair of the committee have to let you know that?
There's nothing in writing that says they
Okay.
need to do that, but
I'll reach out to Scott when he
Okay.
comes back from vacation.
They should
I
let
just-
us know.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'll follow up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, planning board, do we have an update, Russ, on the Riverwoods parking along Pickpocket that was brought up a few planning board meetings ago?
yeah, I don't
Okay.
tonight. but will
I
get it.
let the planning board know Thursday night that
Okay.
that ball is in your court, so to speak.
Okay.
And that, we'll get back to them on that. So, we had a planning board meeting last Thursday, a very late night one, and The Wiley Creek Company asked for a continuance, which was granted until April 24th, 2025. Then we had a continued public hearing on the application of Green Company, which is the MUND mixed-use neighborhood development project that says it's 76 Portsmouth Ave, but it's the one that affects the J.D. Hill neighborhood. And that will be, that's an ongoing application. And then Stone Arch Development, which is the 112 Front Street, another public hearing on that, and that's an ongoing application. One thing did come up with a public comment that I just want to give the board a heads up on. Nothing to respond to now, but there was concern about speed limits and speed bumps, and in one of these public comments, in one of these hearings, and there was a drunk driver in the neighborhood and caused damage, and so it was explained to the person who wanted those to be conditions of approval, that this is on the select board. So just an FYI that we might be asked to look at a neighborhood and have DPW, fire department, whoever weighs in, and make recommendations. And that is it for my report.
Terrific, thank you. Selectwoman Gilman.
Yes, all I've had since our last meeting was the Heritage Commission meeting, and you've seen half of the work that we did at that meeting. The other things that we're organizing or trying to not figure out a way, but think about how we can support the historic district, the Historical Society and the Heritage Commission supporting each other. And maybe working together. It depends on what task comes up or what programming comes up. So that's a very beginning discussion because the two are often confused, and
Right.
I have difficulty wanting to join them together because that would just confuse it some more.
Sure.
But and what else are we talking about? Oh, we want to do a neighborhood meeting or a general presentation of the results of the Pine Elliott Street neighborhood survey that we had done. It finished up a few months ago, and we just haven't. It's published but not presented.
Okay.
So we want to figure that out, and that's about it.
Terrific, thank you. Selectman Chartrand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had 4 meetings over the last 2 weeks. On the 20th of February, that informal train station group met again, and we continue to work on trying to pave the way for eventually becoming a permanent committee. And Don Brizzleton presented a revised suggested timeline, which was great to work on that with the rest of the group. I did attend Hope Godino's retirement party at the library on Friday the 21st. Gave Hope my best wishes for a happy retirement and thanked her for all the work she's done at the library for over 30 years. On the 25th, I attended the DPW thank you at the town hall, along with Selectwoman Belanger. And we were able to thank some of the DPW members that turned out for a luncheon that our assistant town manager and her staff had put together. A lot of them were too shy to show up, I must say. We need to get our DPW in a place where they are willing to be as celebrated as our police and our fire. And they're just not as practiced at accepting thank yous. But they are equally important, along with police and fire, in terms of maintaining our public safety. I like to think of them as each of them as a leg of a 3-legged stool, and without one of them, that stool is going to fall over. So we need to get our public works folks more practiced at accepting thanks, and
Well said.
I will offer them thanks right now.
Mr. Chartrand, Selectman Chartrand, that was, I thought it was just a glitch in the start time, but.
No, I think they were
it turned
shy. I think they were being
out okay.
shy.
That makes more sense.
But we'll get them there.
Okay.
We'll get them there.
I like that.
And we'll get them to understand that they are
Invaluable.
very
I like the
important for public
three-legged
safety.
stool. I like that.
Finally, I did attend a Facilities Advisory Committee meeting on Wednesday last week, the 26th, and we're continuing to do our work to get ready for a space needs assessment exercise that we're going to do in April. And we also heard reports and updates on the 2 building projects from our town planner, both the public safety project and the community center out on Hampton Road.
Great.
And upcoming, there is a Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting next Wednesday at 7 PM, the 5th. I'll be at the polls all day on the 11th. Anyone needs to talk to me, I'll be there. And on the 12th, there's a Water and Sewer Advisory Committee meeting. That's also a Wednesday, and that's at 6:30.
Terrific, thank you.
That's my report.
The only committee, meeting I had was the Pearpoint Park Commission, and they did a really interesting workshop-type meeting, and they tried something, and it was a great idea to try it, but it didn't really work. And we were down in the wheelwright room, and the committee's just too big. Also with town staff, Mr. Sharples was there, Mr. Bisson, and I was there, so just everyone was tripping over each other. But if you watch the meeting, it was really well thought out. Devin Scarrett took the lead and put up a poster board on the walls, and everybody was sort of like writing in ideas and, the needs, the wants, and all of that. So it was a productive hour meeting, and I give credit to the chair, Steve Jones, who keeps the meetings to an hour, which is rather difficult when you have a committee that large. But he has assured me that they will be returning back to the Novak room moving forward because we just need the space. But their hope is to come before the select board sometime in June with their recommendations and try to line that up with the budget moving forward, the budget cycle. So take a couple more months, they'll be ready, fundraising and all of that. So that was interesting. I attended the Riverwoods forum that they had last Wednesday night to present the warrant articles, and I just want to thank Riverwoods for hosting that. Well attended, great questions, and it's always nice to get out there. Thank you, Selectwoman Belanger and Selectman Chartrand, for attending the DPW. Thank you. I had a work commitment, and it kills me not to go to those things.
I was so glad Dan was able to stay. To be honest, I got there at about 11:15 thinking I would have time to go table to table, but people were coming in really late, and I still had to get to work. So I apologize to those I missed, but we had Dan there too, so that was great.
Thank you both for going.
It was kind of interesting I kept peeking out the door looking for people, and you could see all the equipment just kind of parked. We'll have to do that again and section off parking for them. It was kind of funny. But yeah, it's so well deserved. I'm so sad that some of them didn't come. They were all working hard on their snow removal, but
They
I
are very
bet you're
focused
right.
on their work.
Yes.
Less focused
Yeah.
on our thanking them. But accepting thanks is part of the job.
Yes.
We'll get
Yeah, and our assistant town manager went to great lengths to have that food for them, so we'll get them.
That was well said. I'm not going to repeat,
Yeah,
but
I know, it really was, thank you.
they really are part of the public safety. I mean, the three-legged stool, I like that.
The three-legged stool is going to stick with me now. That was a good analogy. That was.
And thanks to Melissa for spearheading that and her staff. And lastly, I'll be there Friday, but I want to recognize Andy Swanson, who I affectionately refer to as MacGyver. And when I met Andy probably about 9 or 10 years ago, my first year on the BRC, he just blew me away. His dedication, his blunt honesty, and what he can do with a limited budget very proudly. A person of great integrity, commitment, and dedication, and really, I forget which one of you said it, really made this town come into the 21st century with technology, again, with a very limited budget. Andy's passion and his integrity was such that when he did ask for something, you listened and you made sure he got it, because he rarely asked for anything. So we're going to miss him. We're in great hands with Steve Bailey. But Andy, congratulations, and be well. Best of health and happiness in your retirement. Okay, correspondence. Mr. Dean, if you would, I know you spoke with your counterpart in Stratham. If you could enlighten the board.
Yeah, there were three things I wanted to touch on about the letter in the packet regarding water and sewer service to 13 and 15 Stony Brook Lane. First of all, that is the 79 and some change parcel, 79 acre plus parcel located off Stony Brook Lane in Stratham. And the request was made through the water sewer agreement that the town has with the town of Stratham that dates back to 1985 to consider water and sewer service to that development. In talking to the town administrator, David Moore, today in Stratham, he indicated to me that the project itself hasn't actually reached the planning board yet. So there is nothing to really consider as far as the request before you. Knowing that we would need to know what kind of development we're dealing with before any decision could be made. I will also tell you that we have had some meetings already with representatives from that development, and we have expressed concerns about capacity of our system to be able to handle what their request is. So I just wanted to put that to the board, make sure that you knew that that had already happened at one point when we had discussions with their representatives.
Is it a very dense development?
That's the thing. I can't quote the number of units because nothing's been presented
It's
to
not
the planning
approved yet,
board.
right.
But
So this is all.
it's likely to be dense, Dan, but how many units specifically, I couldn't say.
Yeah.
Because years ago, we were considering providing water and sewer to the entire
Yeah.
business
Correct.
strip of Stratham. Has our ability to deliver changed significantly?
I think we're more guarded these days with our water and sewer capacity than maybe we were in the past. Some of that has to do with drought conditions and things that we've seen. We may be able to loosen that up a little bit if the groundwater project is successful off Drinkwater Road. But we have a technical memorandum from Underwood that talks about some concerns, especially during the winter time with the river pump station, the intake over at Gilman Park, and that sort of thing. So we are.
Interesting.
We do take these sort of case by case and
Sure.
and grind them up.
If I could make a statement, though.
Sure.
In general, if we have the capacity, we do want more customers to spread our costs over, correct?
I would agree.
If we have the capacity.
If the capacity is there.
I don't want us to ever fall into the, we just never consider, because scale is an issue with our
Right.
water and sewer operation, and more scale would help us with that issue in general.
I
But
agree.
obviously, we can't promise something we can't deliver. So,
Right. So,
thank-
and there are two sides to the equation here with water and sewer.
Yeah.
So that has to be taken into account as well. You know, the limitations of the site that we're talking about. The site has some natural limitations, especially on water. So this may be back before you, I'm not sure at this point, but it is a request from their board, so I need to vet it a little bit more and find out what the plan is on their side before we proceed any further.
So for the moment, it's all theoretical, and there's
Yeah.
nothing for us to do.
Right?
Yeah. All right, well, I learned something tonight.
Mr. Dean, procedurally and respectfully, I know that you spoke with your counterpart, but this letter is to the board from their board. Do we need to respond
I think we should.
in writing?
I
think
believe we should.
too. Okay.
Yeah, we should draft a letter of response.
All right.
Yes.
May I delegate that to you?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. There's an email from a resident out on Newfields Road, and I've communicated with this resident several times since the email came in, and Chief Poulin and Lieutenant West are working on getting some data, and I told this resident that I would be back in touch once we get that data. We have a letter from the Department of Revenue Administration with the USPAP report. Mr. Dean, can you just explain this briefly?
So this is part of the revaluation process where the DRA comes in and audits what we do during the revaluation process, and they've gone through something called the USPAP process of professional appraisal practice and determined that we're in conformance with the guidelines that are set out by that process.
Great, thank you. And then we have the usual NHMA legislative bulletin to review. Excuse me. The election is next Tuesday, March 11th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Tuck Auditorium. And hopefully we have great voter turnout we have a lot of good warrant articles.
We do.
Ballots are available on the website for anyone who wants to read them again. The fact sheet's there. Make your voting plan.
Board calendar, we reviewed the last meeting. We have March 17th, March 31st, April 14th, and April 28th.
Yep.
Do we usually do goal setting
In April.
in April?
Yeah.
We haven't set a date for that yet.
No. The new board will come in March 17th.
I almost missed it last year, so it's very burned in my brain.
We waited.
I'll come by you.
I appreciated your patience with me, all of you.
Before we get into our last...
Just come grab me by the scruff of the neck that day.
Way to find you. Before we get into our last bit of business, anything else from the board? Okay, and seeing none, I would entertain a motion to go into non-public under 91A 32A.
So moved?
Second,
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartran,
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
The clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The board will be moving into non-public. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in
Matthew.
to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.